In this video, we'll be taking a look at 3 NBA games happening on October 19, 2022, and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games. So 2 picks for each game, 6 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released, so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these 3 NBA games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start. If you would like to gain access to our best exclusive betting picks to take your sports betting journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below, where we offer anywhere from 1 betting pick a day up to 10 betting picks a day and much more. Now let's get started. New Orleans Pelicans versus Brooklyn Nets. It's the season opener for a pair of teams on the NBA hardwood as an interconference battle takes place in the Big Apple. The New Orleans Pelicans are on the road as they travel to face the Brooklyn Nets Wednesday night. New Orleans finished the 2021-2022 season with a 36-46 record, leaving them 9th in the Western Conference. They prevailed in the play-in tournament by beating the Spurs and Clippers to advance to the actual postseason field, where they were upended in 6 games in the opening round by the top-seeded Suns. Brooklyn went 44-38 last season and ended up as the 7th seed in the Eastern Conference. They were swept by the 2nd-seeded Celtics in the opening round. In the all-time regular season series between the teams, the Nets own a narrow 22-20 advantage and have won 7 straight meetings. That includes a 120-105 home victory in the most recent matchup on January 15, 2022. Looking at the betting trends, the Pelicans are 2-6 against the spread in their last 8 games overall and 5-16 against the spread in their last 21 Wednesday games. The Nets are 6-28-1 against the spread in their last 35 home games and 6-2 against the spread in their last 8 games playing on 3 or more days rest. Head-to-head, the over is 23-5 in the last 28 meetings overall. The Pelicans are 0-4 against the spread in the last 4 meetings in Brooklyn, and the Pelicans are 1-7 against the spread in the last 8 meetings overall. The Nets should have extra motivation after the very disappointing end to last season, and Brooklyn's roster should be significantly improved with Simmons and Harris healthy, as well as the additions of O'Neal and Harris. Kyrie is also in a contract year, and he's looked sharp in the preseason so far. Brooklyn faced a lot of adversity on and off the court last year and during the offseason, but this team is healthy now and ready to go. Durant and Kyrie both have something to prove this year. New Orleans is better on paper with the return of Zion than this team was last year, but Williamson hasn't shown he can defend and stay healthy. There will also be a big adjustment for McCollum playing with Zion, since McCollum didn't join the Pelicans last year until after Williamson was hurt. The Pelicans will likely take some time to adjust to the completely different starting lineup the team will have this year. While the players the Nets added and will get back from injuries are role players on a team still built around Kyrie and Durant. The Pelicans are keeping an eye on Zion Williamson, who is dealing with a minor ankle injury, but all reports are that he should be good to go, while the Nets will be shorthanded as they are without Joe Harris and Seth Curry. You can make an argument for either side here, but the Pelicans are 1-7 against the spread in the last 8 meetings overall. The Nets should be in better form to start the season than New Orleans, so the Brooklyn Nets to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. Both these teams want to play fast, and New Orleans will have a big adjustment playing with Zion in the starting lineup. The Nets should be much improved defensively, but the Pelicans still have a lot of talent on offense, and early in the year teams usually play at a faster pace. Zion isn't a consistent perimeter shooter, but he's been very good in the paint, and Brooklyn doesn't play a true center since they have been playing Claxton and Simmons at the 5 in most cases. Williamson should be able to score inside, and the Nets will also have matchup advantages against him by putting Zion in pick and rolls on the perimeter. Kyrie is in a contract year, and he's looked very strong in the preseason. He and the Nets will want to start the season strong after last season's disappointment. The Pelicans were a solid defensive team last year, but their roster will look very different with Zion, and New Orleans will have to adjust on both sides of the ball to playing with Williamson. This should be an up-tempo game with a lot of scoring. Over the projected total is our full game total pick. Chicago Bulls versus Miami Heat. The Chicago Bulls will be trying to kick off their season with a win when they face the Miami Heat in their season opener on Wednesday night. The Bulls finished the 2021-2022 season with a 46-36 record, which was 6th in the Eastern Conference standings. The Heat finished the 2021-2022 season with a 53-29 record, which was the best record in the Eastern Conference. Miami is 8-2 in its last 10 games against Chicago. Looking at the betting trends, the Bulls are 4-1 against the spread in their last 5 road games, 4-0 against the spread in their last 4 games playing on 3 or more days rest, and 8-19 against the spread in their last 27 games overall. The Heat are 9-4 against the spread in their last 13 home games and 37-14 against the spread in their last 51 games playing on 3 or more days rest. Head-to-head, the over is 5-1 in the last 6 meetings overall, and the Bulls are 0-4 against the spread in the last 4 meetings overall. The Heat have been a steady and consistent force in the league for the past 3 seasons, and I am expecting more of the same from them with players like Butler, Adebayo, and Harrell all entering their primes. The Bulls were one of the surprise teams from last season, and I expect them to continue to improve with LaVine and DeRozan leading the way. The line is a little hefty for opening night, but the Bulls are without Lonzo Ball, and they could be without LaVine, who is listed as questionable. It's hard to take the Chicago Bulls seriously in this spot when you consider they're playing without Lonzo Ball and Zach LaVine is questionable with a knee injury. The Miami Heat are healthy outside of Omer Udoka and Victor Oladipo, and they're expected to play with more pace and a focus on offense this season. Because of the injuries on the Bulls, I like the Heat to pull away late in the 3rd quarter, so the Miami Heat to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. The Bulls averaged 111 points per game last season and 108 points per game on the road. They averaged 100 points per game in their last 3 games against the Heat. They played at a slow pace, averaging 101.5 possessions per game. With the Heat holding opponents to 104 points per game at home, the Bulls will be held under 110 points in this game. The Heat averaged 109 points per game last season and 110 points per game at home. They averaged 119 points per game in their last 3 games against the Bulls. They played at an even slower pace, averaging 99.5 possessions per game. Miami was one of the better defensive teams in the NBA last season, led by Adebayo and Butler, but the loss of Tucker is definitely a hit on the defensive end. The Heat ranked 4th in points allowed and 2nd in three-point percentage. However, last 3 preseason games for the Heat went over the number, and 3 of their 4 games with the Bulls last season went over as well. On the other hand, the Bulls struggled tremendously on the defensive end, made only worse in the absence of both Ball and Alex Caruso. While Caruso will make some impactful plays on the defensive end, the loss of a plus perimeter defender in Ball is going to show up at times. Ayo Dosunmu may be in for a long night having to deal with both Butler and the three-point making ability of Harrell, Max Strus, and Duncan Robinson. The Bulls were one of the worst teams defending the perimeter last season, and there's little to suggest that improves this year, at least until Ball returns, if he returns at all. Look for this to be more of a run-and-gun game, dominated by guard play. The Bulls and Heat played over the total in 7 of their last 10 meetings. With the Bulls giving up 112 points per game on the road, the Heat will score enough points to push the score past the total. Over the projected total is our full game total pick. Cleveland Cavaliers versus Toronto Raptors. This Wednesday, the Cleveland Cavaliers will travel to Toronto to take on the Toronto Raptors. Tip-off will inside Scotiabank Arena. Both of these Eastern Conference teams will be looking for a better start to this season, as neither of them could make a deep playoff run last year. The Cleveland Cavaliers are coming into this season after not making the playoffs in 2021. They did add multiple new players to their team, though. Donovan Mitchell was traded over from the Jazz, and they also re-signed Darius Garland, as these two will look to lead the Cleveland backcourt. The Toronto Raptors lost in the first round of the playoffs last season as they struggled on the offensive side of the floor. Their team is still the same, as they didn't lose or add any key pieces for this season. Scotty Barnes, Pascal Siakam, and Fred VanVleet will be looking to make another postseason run. Looking at the betting trends, the Cavaliers are 1-6 against the spread in their last 7 road games and 2-6 against the spread in their last 8 games playing on 3 or more days rest. The Raptors are 1-4 against the spread in their last 5 games playing on on 3 or more days rest and 2-6 against the spread in their last 8 games overall. Head-to-head, the over is 8-3 in the last 11 meetings in Toronto, and the Cavaliers are 1-5 against the spread in the last 6 meetings in Toronto. The sportsbooks do not know how this Cleveland team is going to look, as this Donovan Mitchell trade made them actual threats in the Eastern Conference, but the East is loaded. Toronto has a good roster, but they have failed to make a move that made them better, and that will be tough to overcome. Donovan Mitchell was a top 10 scorer last season with 26 points per game, and Cleveland lacked someone who could take control of the scoring late in games. They still have their defensive core in the front court and should control the game here. I think this Raptors team takes a step back as they try to get Siakam more touches at the detriment of the rest of the team and fall to a play-in spot. The Toronto Raptors are probably going to get the benefit of the doubt here, especially at home. But are we sure we're not getting the better team in the underdog role? The Cavaliers have the talent to be a top 4 seed in the East this season, and while it may take time to come together and Raleigh start gelling, I see value in the underdog role with this team. The Cleveland Cavs are the better team and should take care of business outright, so give me the points as a cushion to cover the spread in the opener. So the Cleveland Cavaliers to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. These teams were known last season for their defensive outputs, but the addition of Donovan Mitchell adds a true scoring threat that can add some points here. Cleveland shot 46.9% from the floor last season, while Toronto finished the year shooting 44.5% from the field. The Cavs had a 111.1 adjusted offensive rating, while the Raptors finished with a 112.6 adjusted offensive rating. With the emotions of the first game of the regular season, there is a huge burst of offense being expected as the juices are flowing. The over has hit in 15 of the last 22 games between the Cavaliers and the Raptors. Over the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed. Subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.